Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Dynamics. In this video, we're going to learn how to create animated glass effect clock in Figma. So let's get started. To create the clock, we need to divide it into two parts. The first part is the handles and the second part is the dials. So first, let's create the handles. To create the handles, we're going to first press P on the keyboard to activate the pen tool, press Shift and click and create a straight line. The length of the line is up to you. However, if we need to make adjustments later on, we can do that with the scale tool by pressing K on the keyboard. Keeping your line selected, give it a weight of 3 pixels. Let's increase its size a little bit. Once you're happy with the length of the line, we are going to update its name in the layers panel. Let's call it hours. Let's duplicate this line 3 times by pressing Ctrl D on Windows and Command D on Mac. Ctrl D, Ctrl D. The second line, we're going to name it as minutes and the third as seconds. We're going to change the weight of the seconds handle to 1 pixel. Select all the lines in the layers, and for the ends, we're going to round it up. Then in the layers panels, select the minutes, hold it from the top and click and drag and decrease its size almost to the half of the hours line. And for the seconds, select it in layers panel. Again, hold it from the top and bring it towards the right hand side. The height of the seconds handle is going to be roughly around the size of the hours handle. That's it. The base for the handles is now ready. Select all the lines and press Ctrl Alt G to frame this selection. We're going to now rename the frame in layers panel as handles. Now let's move on to creating the dial. To create the dial, we're going to jump into the draw mode of Figma by coming here in the toolbar at the bottom. Once in the draw mode, we're going to need a circle or ellipse in Figma. Press O on the keyboard to activate ellipse. Click and drag by pressing Shift to create a proportional circle. Keeping your circle selected in the draw mode, we're going to use this repeat property in Figma, which says radial repeat. And if I drop down on it, you will have another option which says linear repeat. In this case, since we are creating a clock, we need a radial repeat. Now we have 6 duplicates of the ellipse in a radial format. However, we need 12 of those. To do that, I'm going to simply click on the options for the repeat. And then for the count, I'm going to change it to 12. And then we're going to adjust the gap. Once the gap is defined, if you observe in the layers panel, we only have 1 ellipse, but we can see its duplicates, but they are not represented in the layers panel. However, we need all the ellipses as separate units in the layers panel. To do that, I'm going to click this property next to the repeat function, which says apply transform to selection. And you can see in the layers panel, all the ellipses are now separate units. Let's frame this selection again by pressing Ctrl Alt G on Windows and Command Option G on Mac. Let's rename this frame as dial. Now we have both the basic building blocks of the clock ready. Now it's time to put them together. Select your handle, bring it in the middle of the clock. Make sure the bottom of the handles is aligning with the middle of the dial. But now the handles are exceeding the dial. To adjust the dial, since I've already mentioned that we can use the scale tool to adjust it, I'm going to press K on the keyboard and press Alt and Shift to increase the size of the dial from the middle. Just make sure your handles are properly in the middle of the dial. Just do manual adjustment if you need to. And now the basic structure is complete. After this, let's adjust the look and feel of our dial. Select the dial and we're going to convert it into an auto layout by pressing Shift A. Now our dial is auto layout. Let's jump back to design mode. In the design mode, keeping my dial selected, I'm going to give it a fill of white and then the padding of 16 pixels. And now the dial auto layout is overlapping the content of the dial. And that is because it has a fixed width in auto layout. Let's adjust it to hug content. The handles are now hidden below the dial. So we'll select them in layers panel and bring them towards on the top of the dial. Again, let's just drag it and align it towards the middle. To make it rounded, use corner properties in the appearance. Let's make it 700. The reason we have made it into auto layout so that it's easier for us to adjust the padding between the dial and the boundaries. 16 pixels I believe is slightly more, so we'll decrease it about to 8 pixels. Then again, we need to adjust the handles in the middle. For the fill, let's add another fill. And here, I'm going to use an image. Upload from computer, and from computer I'm going to use this background. Now it's time to create another auto layout on top of the dial auto layout. Keeping your dial auto layout selected, press Shift A to create another auto layout on top of it. We need this to create the background for our clock. Let's rename the frame as background. Background is important to give it a glass effect. In the layers panel, open the background layer, select dial again, and now let's update the color for the dial to something that is gradient. Alright, that's fine. And then for the background, let's give it a fill of something similar shade of blue. That's it. Then again, keeping your dial selected, let's come to effects, give it an effect of glass. There we have it, the glass effect is now applied. Now it's time to update the handles. If you notice the layers, the handles are outside the background and the dial. So we'll select the handles frame in the layers panel, click and hold and drag it inside the dial. However, this is now distorted. What's happening is when anything is in the auto layout, the things automatically try to align left or right or top or bottom. But we want this dial to be freely movable within the clock. So keeping a handle selected, I'm going to select this property in the positions which says ignore auto layout. That's it. Now simply click and drag in the middle and the center. Let's update the color to white, and then you can also adjust the corners of the background. The basic clock is now ready. You can further enhance the visuals as you want. However, we're going to now look into how to animate this clock. To animate the clock, we're going to select the background and jump into prototype mode from here, or you can use the shortcut Shift E. Once in prototype mode, let's zoom out a little and create the duplicates of the clock. Control D, Control D, Control D. For the demo, we're going to just use 5 of these. Now if we zoom in into the first clock, select the seconds handle, jump back to design mode. The angle of the handle is minus 19.73. Let's round it up to minus 20. Zoom in, and now I'm going to hold this handle and drag it around. The reason I'm showing you so that you understand what needs to be done in the following steps. We need to first change the angle of the seconds handle and then make sure it is properly aligned in the middle of these two other handles, which is a minute and the hours. We'll keep the handles in the first clock as they are. Let's jump into the second one. If you want to select any item within a group or within auto layout frames, you can press Ctrl and directly hover over the item and click and select. Since the angle for the previous seconds handle was minus 20, we're going to increase it by 10 pixels. We'll do minus 30 pixels. Again, keeping your handle selected, seconds handle selected, adjust it in the middle. Let's do the same thing for the third one, and this one is going to be minus 40. Now, next one, minus 50. And last one, minus 60. All the clocks are now ready. Now it's only a matter of connecting them. To connect them, jump into prototype mode, hover on the first clock, you will see this plus icon. Click and connect it to the next clock. For the trigger properties, we're going to do after delay, and the delay is going to be 1 microsecond. Animation, instant is fine. You can play around with other type of animations if you want. Connect the second clock, then again select after delay. However, in this case, the delay is going to be 100 microseconds, which is 1 second. Again, same for the next one. After delay, 100 microseconds, and for the last one. After delay, 100 microseconds. Our animation is now ready. So let's see it in action. Click play. There we have it. Our clock is now ready. I hope you liked the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to Pixel Dynamics for more Figma, UX UI design and AI tutorials. See you in the next one.